I love that part. Hello, good evening. I thought I'd stream a little bit, have some time. I'm only going to go a little while unless I get guests, and then I'm willing to go much longer. What's up, peoples? I don't have anything going on today, but I wanted to make sure to get my daily streaming in. So here I am. I went to an all-day training for the men's group thing that I'm in. I'm exhausted. So I don't know how fresh and exciting I'm going to be tonight. I'm still concerned that this microphone is not picking me up all the way. So anyway, let me check Twitter and see if there might be anything happening. Modern art is so stupid. Should we take a look at modern art? See how stupid it is? Sure, why not? Let's look at some stupid ass modern art. Hang on. Here's Holler. Okay. This is modern art at its... Well, you be the judge. Ooh, Lord. This is stupid. I could do this. This is not art. If I could do it, it's not art. Like, what lives do these people have that this is interesting to them? I could totally do that. Oh, wait. Sorry. This is ridiculous. This is ridiculous. I saw that. Hang on. Let me see if I can find it. The Maria Abramovich, some performance artist lady. Her new piece. Did y'all see? Do y'all know about that? To get into the exhibit, it's like all these fancy dressed up people. To get into the exhibit, you have to walk between this naked white girl and this naked black guy. Why can't I find it? It was all over Twitter. And now it's nowhere. Yeah, here. Let's see if they have it. Well, show the models. Why aren't they showing them? Yeah, here. Okay, let's see. Look, this is what you have to do to get into the exhibit. Why isn't it big? How do I make it big? It was bigger before I clicked. So that's like they're in the door. That's the doorway. And to get into the exhibit, you have to squeeze between them. So that's her newest art. Ain't that interesting? Okay, let me see. Pedo Satanist elites. That's not my kind of Satanism. My kind of Satanism is not for kids. You don't have to worry about that. Adults only. And real adults, psychological adults. To the extent that you are one. Oh. Here, I might as well share Twitter. Yeah, I'm really run down tonight. That thing took more out of me than I realized. And Mostly just sat in the chair all day. Oh, what is P.F. Jung? Ooh, this looks meaty. Oh, it's ChatGPT. He smoked some weed while in Los Angeles and journaled for a bit, wrote some notes, and then he asked ChatGPT to evaluate them. Also, he's still high while writing this tweet. Examine the following passage that Paul wrote while he was high on marijuana. I figured out what Jordan Peterson meant by atheist and fundamentalist have the same problem. I've noticed that too. They're ideologues. Both are obsessed with logos, ideologue, manifested in propositional truth, but not in logos in a more Heideggerian sense. This is him on weed. They are stuck in the Platonic elevation of forms as true objects arrived at by reasons, when in fact the proper conceptualization of the forms are that archetypes are embodied and represented and symbolic and can never be pinned down via rational proposition. Is this a synthesis between Wittgenstein and Plato? I would say no. I'm not sure what exactly he was trying to get out in these last two sentences. Can you provide some insight as to what he was asking with that question, and also provide an answer to that question? Okay, this is the ChatGPT breaking down Paul's weed philosophy. Let's go. Atheist, fundamentalist, and logos. Paul suggests that both atheist and fundamentalist, despite their apparent differences, focus primarily on the logos in the sense of propositional truth. In ancient Greek, logos can mean reason, word, or principle. By logos manifested in propositional truth, Paul might be referring to a focus on literal interpretations or strict rationalizations of religious or secular text. I don't think he's talking about interpretations. I think he's talking about a form of mental activity, a form of epistemology, let's say. Heideggerian logos, when Paul refers to logos in a more Heideggerian sense, he's referring to the philosopher Martin Heidegger's interpretation of logos as the disclosive looking, or letting something be seen. It's a more holistic understanding that goes beyond mere rational propositions and engages with the phenomenon as it reveals itself. That sounds more like Paul, actually, and me too. I don't know if y'all remember on my Jordan Peterson test, the Big Five, I scored really low in intellect and I didn't understand. I think I got an 8 out of 100. And when I read the description of intellect, it meant engagement with like abstract theory and ideas. And when that made way more sense, because I'm much more, I talked yesterday about poetry being the sensual, concrete form of not of ideas, but that ideas can take. Actually, Fry's argument was that the ideas rise out of the imagery, not the other way around. But leaving all that aside, I'm much more I'm better with things that I can grasp hold of visually, sensually, concretely, like more than I am theory and ideas. I can do math and I can do the philosophy stuff. It doesn't interest me or keep me engaged. The images, the phenomena, actual instances, when it's see, I need ChatGPT to even help me express my own self. Practical theory when it's applied are embedded in an actual real world experience that I can kind of grasp hold of is what I'm much better with. Platonic forms versus archetypes. Paul comments on the Platonic elevation of forms as the ultimate truth, suggesting that these forms might be better understood not as static truths, but as dynamic archetypes. In Carl Jung's psychology, not to be confused with P.F. Jung / Paul, archetypes are innate, universal symbols and patterns that reside in the collective unconscious. Even that's speaking figuratively. They don't reside anywhere. Paul seems to be suggesting that these archetypes, like Plato's forms, are symbolic representations of truths, But unlike the static nature of the forms, archetypes are dynamic, embodied, and cannot be fully understood through mere rational propositions. He's really just summarizing what Paul said. But let me read on. Synthesis of Wittgenstein and Plato. Wittgenstein, apparently in his later work, posited that the meaning of words is rooted in their use in ordinary life and that philosophical problems arise from linguistic confusion. If we apply this to Plato's forms, Paul might be suggesting that the true nature, see, even GPT is cautious because it don't really know either what Paul's weed mind is trying to say. Paul might be suggesting that the true nature or meaning of the forms or archetypes is rooted in how they're embodied and represented in our lived experiences rather than in abstract definitions. The question, is this a synthesis between Wittgenstein and Plato, is essentially Paul pondering whether this viewpoint merges Wittgenstein's focus on linguistic use and Plato's metaphysical concept of the forms. I don't understand how Wittgenstein got brought in this conversation to begin with, other than that Paul is associating him with logocentric thinking, like a logocentric epistemology, which may be what ChatGPT is saying as well. The true nature is rooted in how they're rather than abstract definitions. We've talked about the two types of thinkings before. It shows up throughout the Western culture. For Fry, it's mythic versus logical. For Nietzsche, it was the Apollonian Dionysian. For Jung, it's the directed thinking and the fantasy thinking. I would call it like imagistic thinking versus maybe logical thinking. And the archetypes are more imagistic phenomena. Answer to Paul's question, it could be argued that Paul's perspective represents a synthesis between Wittgenstein and Plato. While Plato's forms are abstract and unchanging truths, Wittgenstein believed in understanding concepts through their practical use in language. By suggesting that the forms or archetypes are dynamic symbols embodied in our experiences cannot be pinned down by rational propositions, Paul might be merging Wittgenstein's linguistic philosophy with Platonic metaphysics. However, it's a novel interpretation. Good. I like that Paul's being novel and would require further exploration to fully validate. Well, let's explore it. I see two tensions here. I see a tension between the visual and the verbal, maybe. Can we call logical verbal reasoning? The visual and the verbal. And I see the tension between the abstract and the embedded, as GPT says, like in instantiated, immanent, in like what Fry was saying the other day, of things, ideas being in the form of images. So it could be all of that. I think Paul's mind, his very subtle, deep, and complex mind, and I say that in all sincerity and as a compliment, is working through several axes of tensions, or several, I don't necessarily want to call them antitheses, but like several poles, or polarities. And of course, to do that, you have to be able to visualize the axes and the poles. So there's a visual component to his thinking, which there usually almost always is. And then he's tracking it or expressing it verbally as he navigates the concept or the image. I like this, Paul. In fact, I would, you should come to we're doing a philosophy book club tomorrow on Schopenhauer's essay. You should do more of this. I would love to get into some of this with you. I love philosophy drug conversations. That was my whole meat and drink for a while, back when I was doing all that. Okay, so anyway, that is probably the most exciting thing on Twitter all week. But that's Twitter for now. Let's see anything else showing up. Oh, here's something about epistemology. Is it epistemologically sound Unsound, to wholly dismiss someone or what they have to say because they have an unrelated opinion that does not correspond to reality, but there are occasions when I still do it. Yeah, sometimes I do it too. If somebody's an idiot in one area, I might think they're an idiot at other things, but I also try to very carefully listen. I'm actually better at listening even to what the idiots are saying to see if it corresponds with reality, because I'm always tracking reality, like the correlation between words and things. And so it's easy for me to track that. I get lost in that more than I do in the fact that they might have had this idiotic opinion on something else. For me, saying trans women are women or calling January 6th an insurrection typically call for such dismissal. Not for me. There's people that might think trans women are women that can still, like Rowan makes a lot of sense. He has some of these weird opinions, and he makes some, or let's just say he has some of these, this is me trying to be diplomatic, personal opinions that differ from my own, but he still makes sense on 90% of the things I talked to him about. Okay, so anyway, that's that. Oh wait, let me see what this other commenter says. But yeah, you do use patterns. If they're wrong about multiple things over and over and over, then you might. But even then, I try to listen. Even the most stupid people in the world can sometimes know what they're talking about. So I think I evaluate each instance of verbal expression on its own merit. In fact, I did that with J.J. McCullough when he was talking to Paul. I didn't agree with a single thing that, what is he, Canadian person says. But then when Paul started going off into conspiracy land and JJ was suddenly the person that was saying the same thing I would say, he suddenly started making sense on that one little issue about people tend to see conspiracy theories more in places that I don't think they actually exist in reality. I think it's a phenomena of the brain as it processes limited data sets. And so for that little one issue, I was like, yes, JJ is the person making the most sense. It was very disconcerting, and it was disorienting in a way. But for that one little issue, as long as it continued, I felt more aligned conceptually, epistemologically with J.J. McCullough, of all people, than even Paul, who I agree with 99% of everything he says. So yes, I am definitely able to like stupid people that get it wrong 90% of the time, they can still get the one thing right, and I'm going to agree with it. But I think this person, the tweeter, is saying, like, is it a good guide to your opinion? Like, should you base your opinion or adjust your opinion to what this person is saying? And the only reason I know they're right is because I've already reached that conclusion on myself. By myself, to even compare it. So that might be a little different. Anyway, that's mostly Twitter today. Is anything going on in Satan world? They have Larry David. Ooh, what is this? Oh, just some album cover. Ooh. Oh, it's like Satanists in support of Ukraine? Oh, okay. Well, we're all different. We all have. I don't pay attention to Ukraine at all. I don't have any. I think Russia is not our friend. I have no problem pushing back on Russian aggression or whatever. But outside of that, I really have no opinion on Ukraine because I don't pay attention to it enough and follow it enough. What is this? This looks stupid. You look stupid. I think you look. I've seen Halloween costumes more effective than this. I think you look better in your own bed than you actually do. To me, at least. Definitely nothing to stop that. Who is this? Oh well, I don't know. See, this is what's on Twitter tonight. Let me check one more list. Nah. Chicken sexing. Oh, where you see what sex the chicken is? Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, that's Twitter. Let me check Facebook and YouTube. Or if I get, oh, I gotta put my banner on. Maybe that'll bring in the guests. They don't know. They can join the call. It is a Saturday night. I don't know what people do anymore on Saturday nights. That used to be like the fun night. Friday and Saturday both, but one of them was the going out night. I think it was Friday night. It was like the big going out night. And then Saturday was you do something else fun with your friends. But it wasn't necessarily going out. And then in the gay bar, Friday night was the big gay night. I mean, the big, like, that was the night at the gay bar in the town that I grew up in. And things didn't really get started until like 11 or 12. If you got there at 10, it was slow. They didn't even have they even had the lights on in the front, and then they turned them off later in the night and turned the music up. So that didn't happen until after 11. So the night didn't even get started until way late. And then Saturday was very slow because that's the night a lot of gays went out of town to other cities to the bigger bars. And it was like half lesbians. They played a lot of country music because the bar I went to, like, we had one gay bar in our town, and it had to serve all the different groups of gay and lesbian people. So it was mostly gay dance music, but every hour they would play one or two country songs for the lesbians and the country people, because this is in Louisiana. It was like close to Texas, so it was like more country and western. And they make sure they get their country music in for the country people, and they had all the black drag, like the black subculture, and they had their own drag queens and everything. They would play black, like soul, like ballads and stuff for them. So it was like this mix of different styles and different cultures. You had cowboys there. You had the black drag queens and the black queens. You had the normal gay, like the preppy gays, and you had my crowd, which is the gothic punk crowd. And we were there with our mohawks and our weird t-shirts and outfits. Some of them had piercings, tattoos, all that stuff. And it was a really tiny little bar, and we all commingled in this one little bar on a Friday night. And it was fun for the size of town it was. There really was kind of a nice little scene there. I hated going out growing up. Like, my friends would drag. The only reason I went out is because that's what my friends did. And if I wanted to be social at all with my friends, they did it at the gay bar. Otherwise, I would just be staying home by myself and watching movies or reading a book. Okay, I don't see anything on YouTube. I wonder if I could find pictures of it. Is it even still open? Ooh, I found a picture. Fifi O'Hara? Oh my God, I found some footage on YouTube of the gay bar. Let's watch this. This is my and they have a drag queen. She's a real trashy raunchy. She considers herself queer. Her name's Christine, Christeene, and she's like this world famous drag queen now. She lives in New York City. She's from, I knew her as her guy name from this bar. She's from that town, and she was always at the bar. But as a boy, like this little preppy guy. Okay, let's see. This is a drag show. You can hardly see anything. Oh wait, let me do this. Yeah, they had the checkerboard floor. That was the dance floor. Ooh, they have some real pretty lights. It looks like it's. Is it open to the outside? Well, y'all show something. Let's see. Oh, this will probably give me a copyright strike. I better not. Let me check this other video. Sorry. Well, I that'll be my first test. Some other footage. It's so dark, though. You can't. Whoever's taking this footage, you can't see anything. Well, anyway, this is the. When I was a little baby gay, this was my club for until I left Louisiana. Okay, I guess y'all got a little taste. I don't want to risk too much of a copyright strike, especially over like cheesy gay dance music at a gay bar. Okay, so that is that. I posted it on social media and Discord to see to let people know I was here if any guests wanted to come on. So I'll give it a little while and see what happens. Maybe I'll give it till the top of the hour, and if nobody shows up then I'm going to go find something else to do with myself tonight. It's different being older, not having a regular friend circle like I did. Like all my friends are online now. I don't have any in-person friends at all. Like if I wanted to go to the club or go to a restaurant or coffee or anything, I don't have any of that online. And so when you're older, you have no friends. Your whole life is online. Friday nights and Saturday nights they feel different now. It's like what do I want to watch on TV? Like what show on BritBox or Acorn TV do I want to watch? Those are my mystery channels. Or what movie? I hardly ever watch movies anymore at all, other than when we do movie nights, which we're doing. Tuesday is going to be the Spike Lee movie Girl 6. It's really hard to find. And it's Teresa Randall. She does a really great job, and she's a phone sex operator. And I don't know if it's a comedy, a tragedy, or it's a Spike Lee movie. So whatever genre Spike Lee does. And we're going to do that on Tuesday. And outside of that, I don't really watch a lot of movies. Most of the movies I watch are like rewatching old movies that I liked. Stupid YouTube, give me oh, okay, cool. Oh, you click notify. They never give me the notification either. I don't even know what notify means. Because every time I click it, nothing happens. I don't ever get anything. Yeah, you can come on. We can talk about movies or something. The Chris and Jeff show. Jeff and Chris show. It's conversation. So now it's like I read books on a Friday night, or I'll watch a live stream, or do a live stream. Well, Friday nights here we have our movie night, and then we do our discussions. And I'm wondering, we used to do movies, and we would go on Discord and do like philosophical discussions, and I might still do that, but I might alternate it with movie and then streaming. We could stream a discussion about the movie and whatever other topics people want to talk about. I'm just experimenting with the best way to make this happen. It works sometimes. What does it work? What does working look like? Because it's never done anything for me. Does it notify you by email, or does it just put a little notification on YouTube itself where you have to have the site already open to see the notification? In which case, you're gonna see the live video in your list anyway. I don't know. I don't. Anyway, Chris is going to come on, so who knows where the conversation will go from there. In the meantime, I guess I still have to entertain you or keep you engaged. I'm still on the Bible. I think the Tower of Babel's coming up next, but I've been busy all. This is my first break, really, from the last 2 days. So maybe tomorrow I can give you a Bible update. I don't know. Should I just like read a random book? Can I read a poem? What, will it give me a copyright strike? It's I just grabbed a random book. This is Wallace Stevens. He's my favorite modern poet. He wrote like in the 20s, 30s, all the way through the 50s, maybe the 60s. I don't know when his last poem was. Here's one called Blanche McCarthy. It's one of his early poems. Oh, Chris is on. We'll save the poem for later.
Hey, how's it going on, man?
Hello. What's up?
Not much, man. I just finished getting the family just went to bed, so.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Nothing going on here either.
Yeah. Been pretty low key today, I guess. Just go grocery shopping tomorrow, and I don't know what we're gonna do for the rest of the the following next few months. We've got to figure out like a plan to get out of here or something, because I don't know how we're gonna pay bills and stuff next couple of months, but we've been trying to figure something like that out today, and then I don't know. Just trying to just trying to take things one day at a time, I guess.
You have SNAP? You still have the SNAP?
Yeah. That's we get some food stamps tomorrow, so we're gonna go grocery shopping and get a few things. That's really the only cash we have at the moment. Got just enough gas in the car to get to the grocery store and back. So.
Do they have any churches that can help out?
I mean, there's churches there are some charity programs. They just don't help out with much besides food.
Oh.
We had some utility assistance, but the utility assistance that there is now, like the ones that still have funds available here in this part of the year, they only provide funds to people that have jobs already. So I don't really know what the point of that is, but I mean, I understand like they want people like to they want to help people that are working or whatever. It's not like but like it's not like we're not working. We're not like not working because we don't want to. So.
Yeah.
Believe me, if they would just figure out what's wrong with my inner ear and get the vertigo fixed, I would be happy to go back to work. I don't want to be on disability or any of that stuff. That's not what I want. But
you have that appointment coming up, you said?
It's in January, but I have a regular doctor's appointment on my daughter's birthday, which is depressing, and the other doctor's appointment is on my wife's birthday. Isn't that weird? The earliest she wants to get
maybe that'll give you good luck.
Maybe so. I don't know. Yeah, I've got a doctor's appointment on the 3rd as consultation about my teeth, and they're more or less going to pull pretty much all my teeth out and like give me implants. So that's terrifying to me. I don't really want that.
Does it all happen in one day, or is it a staged process?
Oh, it'll be a staged process. I mean, like I don't think they're not gonna. I don't think they're gonna pull they're not gonna pull anything on the 3rd. They're just gonna do a consultation. They're just gonna look at my mouth and just like make a plan for what they're gonna do, and then we go from there. And then the 19th, I have the primary care provider appointment. Hopefully they'll get me, if I can get me back on all my medications again. If they just give me back my meds that I was on for years, my ADHD medication, everything like that, I'll be a lot better off. I'll be able to handle
What
things
is
a lot
that?
better.
What does that do? How does that help you? The ADHD medication?
Adderall, I don't know. It just helps. I'm not as scattered. I can think more clearly.
Because you're fooling me then. Because to me, you think fine. Like
I do okay
like
at
the way you
times.
think.
But I'm actually usually a lot sharper than this. And like throughout the
Oh
day,
well,
I forget things constantly. Like I forget things all throughout my day. Like I'm constantly forgetting everything, and I forget sometimes important things too. I mean, I'm not going to go into it, but just like I really do forget a lot of things that I can't. And some of that's ADHD, some of it's the brain fog from the vertigo. Being dizzy all the time also adds but like before I ran out of all my medications that I've been on for, like I said, I've been on like for 4 or 5 years. Before I ran out of all those things, I was doing a lot better with it. Then since like I haven't had those, it's mostly I want my anxiety medication again, because like I'm really super anxious all the time. I actually feel more calm for some reason, and if I'm having a conversation, I'm talking to somebody, I feel more calm. But like when I'm not like in a conversation or not doing something, I am just a ball of stress and anxiety. I feel like I can't even I can't even play video games or anything anymore, like to de-stress, because it just like I just get squirrely.
like when you're by yourself.
Yeah, like whenever I'm asleep, I don't sleep well. I never have, and I was on sleep medication too. Whenever I was on my meds, I would actually sleep 8 hours a night. I would, I could get up in the morning, I could sleep 8 hours a night. I could focus on things easier, and I can focus on conversation just fine. But focusing on like work type stuff and everything is very, very difficult. Or trying to I tried to do that video editing thing for a while, and I couldn't. I get confused and couldn't make heads or tails of it. I'm like I've done it before too. It's something I haven't done before, but I couldn't like relearn like the new version of Adobe. I couldn't get my brain around it, and it's just not me. I mean, it's not that much different. It's not like it changed that much. I just can't remember things like I should be able to. So I don't know. I just at least I'm gonna give it a shot and try to see if getting back on all my ADHD meds and like my anxiety meds and everything, if it helps, and if it doesn't, then I'll stop taking them, I guess. But
What was the anxiety med?
I can't remember what it was called. It was also it doubles as antidepressant, but antidepressant,
Oh.
but it was a Abilify, lithium, and something else, and I can't remember what it was
They had
called.
you on lithium?
A very, very low dose, the lowest dose of lithium they can give you. But yeah, that's what they had me on.
Oh.
Yeah, which I thought was weird, but that's what my doctor decided. That's what he said. He said he was going to try because I was so anxious all the time. He said he thought it would help. And then I had a Klonopin for anxiety attacks, but I'd only use it whenever I had panic attacks. So
Yeah,
it wasn't like a
regular.
regular.
It was as needed.
Yeah, and like I don't know. I know some people like Jordan Peterson, for example, got like that's what messed him up so much. They don't really do anything like that to me. I don't have pill addiction problems.
You probably don't take. You probably take a low dose.
No, I mean I was taking the highest dose pill you could get, the 2 milligram pill.
Oh.
Yeah, but they just don't. I don't feel anything except for less anxious. I don't get a high off of them. I don't know. Like Xanax, I used to get. They used to give me Xanax for the Klonopin was like a thing that they gave it regularly, and like I used to get those. I used to get big bottles of those yellow bars, that like people used to sell. All the drug dealers used to.
bars.
Yeah, people knew I had them. I just used to keep it a secret. I had them because if people, a lot of people knew they knew I had them. They bugged me for them constantly. They would never leave me alone about them, and because I need them for anxiety. I didn't want to sell them to people, and plus I'm not a drug dealer, so it always bugged me that they'd ask me, but I used to get those, and like those things at least I got it. I mean, like because more than once I got really anxious and I ended up taking like a second bar or something. I definitely do see like the zoning out effect. I don't enjoy it. I don't like it, but I understand that people get high. I never got that with the Klonopin. I never got
I
like.
I don't.
I used to be on. I used to be on hydrocodone too for the pain. Like I use like Norco 10 milligram pills. They don't do anything to me except for like reduce my pain. I do not understand the high off them. I never got a single high off them. I don't really get a feeling from it. They just. I mean, I
get a feeling, but I don't find it pleasant at all.
My pain levels are pretty high. To be honest, I deal with them pretty well, but I'm usually feeling like a lot of like extreme pain in my back. So I just have it so much I don't wince at it anymore. It's weird because like I know it's there, and like, especially if it goes away for a minute, I really know it was there, you know. But like I've kind of numbed myself to it a little bit, you know. I don't notice it as much, but because it's always there, it's constant. And but now if I get pain in somewhere else, like the other day I got like I don't know, after I was taking those antibiotics, and I got this pain in my chest. It's really like in my ribs right here for some reason. I don't know where it went away, but like the pain in my ribs, for some reason, it made me notice the pain in my back so much more. I don't know why. I was feeling this pain in my ribs and in my back, and I was just like, I mean, I was like, you know, and like Tylenol doesn't do anything. You know, ibuprofen, naproxen sodium, none of that stuff does anything for that kind of pain. It's like I tell Lindsay, like, she's always like, "You want some Tylenol?" And I'm like, I mean, I can take it, but it's like throwing a wet rag against a brick wall. You know, it doesn't do anything to it. You know, so it doesn't really affect it any. I just kind of grin and bear it as best I can. But I don't. I think you know, it's made me. It's weird. I try to look at the bright side of it. I try to look like what are the positives of going through pain like that. And I feel like it's like one of those things that has it's given me a lot of perspective on, you know, life and the world the world. You know, just like the way things are, and you know, it gives me a lot of perspective in my life. It's made me appreciate things a lot more that I think I used to take for granted. So I mean, like I don't think it's not necessarily like there's nothing to be learned from it, but I really feel at this point I probably learned as much as I can from the pain. I'm kind of ready to get rid of it again, you know. But I don't know. I don't really want to go back to the pain meds, but I don't know what else to do. The only thing they could do is like is back surgery, and that scares me because like it's not like 100% like you're not going to get paralyzed. So I don't know.
Oh,
I think my pain might be more tolerable than the risk of getting paralyzed. So I don't know. And I see. I'm like really anxious tonight. I'm just like that's why I'm all rambling and everything. Last couple of times, last couple of nights, last couple of times we streamed, like I've been kind of calm, but I feel really jittery and nervous right now for some reason. I don't know why. I'm just like
is it you're sitting alone with yourself and your imagination, and it's spinning out scenarios that you're reacting to with anxiety, or is it this free floating anxiety that you have no
it's,
conscious
it's
reason
just
to feel?
it's a free floating kind of. I don't know. I have dealt with anxiety and depression my whole life, so you know. I can't say I ever had. I never. None of the drugs ever that the gave put me on ever really did much for depression, but they did. The only things I think that really help the depression is really just like literally like thinking my way through it, like learning to deal with it and learning to combat the depressive thoughts with non-depressive thoughts. I mean, like I still have. It's kind of a conscious battle, but I can do it. The anxiety I don't know how to fix though, because like I get panic attacks where like I feel like, you know, you ever get panic attacks and like the chest, you know, like
Yeah,
the
you
tightness
feel
of
like yeah, it feels like you're dying. You have a heart
yeah
attack, and
yeah
you're
I
going
have those.
insane.
I have those all the time, and it's just like, I mean, seriously, like there's
Just spontaneously?
yeah, they don't see. It doesn't seem like there's anything that really that like what was it, like 2 or 3 nights ago, like after we got off the stream. If we got off a stream 2 or 3 days ago, I can't remember which day it was now. I kind of lose track of days. That's another thing, like my brain fog. I never used to do that. I never used to lose track of days and time like I do now. But a few days back when after we got the stream, like I was fine. I was actually in a really good mood, and I went to the bathroom and came in here and laid down. And like as soon as I laid down, like no, there weren't any thoughts in my brain. I wasn't like thinking about anything depressing or anything anxious, but but just like the swell of like anxiety just like gripped my chest, and I was just like, you know, and I just had to like sit there and I just had to do like the deep breath thing to like breathe my way through it. And even though it
Do you
seems like it
use
just,
cold water, like ice water or cold water?
I have before, but it doesn't always work. But sometimes it does.
Uh,
I didn't the other night because like one of those things where like it gripped me so hard, like I didn't even want to get up. I was just like trying to like keep my breathing and my calmness. So if I get up, I feel like it's gonna make me panic more because I like get my blood pressure up just by getting up off the bed. So I don't know. It depends on like they seem to they strike me all different ways, and just kind of depends on where my brain kind of settles on what I'm going to try to deal with it. It's one of those that I would normally if I had like Klonopin, I would have taken the Klonopin and it would have brought it down. But you know, and I mean I know that's not going to be dependent on those kind of things, but at the same time I don't know. I don't have a problem with it this age. And, you know, at my age I am now, I just don't see. When I was younger, I was a little bit more brazen about like trying to like, you know, figure out a way to tough my way through it. I don't really care anymore. I just like I'd rather have the Klonopin and just not feel like I was gonna die for an hour, you know. So
well, you only
yeah,
need to take it when you need it.
Yeah, it's the only time I ever did take it, but like I mean, still, I have them fairly frequently. So, I mean, like they'd give me a bottle of like 30 to 60 of them, depending on like the doctor, and I usually wouldn't get through them. If they gave me a bottle of 60, it would usually last me 2 months at least. But and then there'd be days I have to take more than one, and there'd be days I wouldn't take one at all. But
If
it
you
all
catch them
depends.
when they start, you can
Yeah, exactly,
sometimes it
exactly.
it
Yeah, because I got good.
it's your sympathetic nervous system, and if you can get it back to the parasympathetic,
Yeah, I
then
used
it
to get.
won't activate as much.
I got to the point. It's the only pill I've ever been able to chew up. Is a Klonopin. They're not dissolvable ones, but the only pill I've ever been to stand chewing up. Like most pills, like if I can't do that. Like it grosses me out too much. Like even aspirin, I can't do that with. But like a
Uh,
Klonopin, I could take those things. I could take one and like just chew it up my mouth and swallow it real fast and keep the panic attack away. Yeah, I do that in a heartbeat. But yeah, but it's all right. I mean, I'm happy that they're gonna see me. You know, it's because at first they were telling me for the PCP appointment they were telling me it was gonna be December, but I kept calling and they eventually found an appointment in October. It just happens to be my daughter's birthday, which is like it upsets me because we were going to go see her for her birthday, obviously, because she's in
oh, your older daughter.
yeah, my elder. No, my little one, she's her birthday is a week after my wife's, so it's like a week after my other appointment. So yeah, like Juniper was born 1 week after my wife's birthday. She's born 7 days after my wife's birthday. So January 28th. She is, man, that little kid. I swear, for a premature baby that was born, like 2.5 months premature. She was 4 pounds 9 ounces. You'd never know it, man. That kid is strong as hell. Like when I'd carry her in this like that harness thing I told you about, and like if we're pushing, like if I'm like in the grocery store and like have a buggy, she'll just put her feet there and just put, and she if I'm not careful, I'm not holding on the grocery cart, man, she will kick that thing out of me, away from me. Nearly ran over a lady the other day because like I wasn't watching and she kicked the thing and like it got away from me. I had to like run catch it and like nearly hit this lady. I was like, oh, I'm so sorry, ma'am. It didn't hit her, but still, like she was like, what the hell, But I don't know. I don't know. She just like she is always so active. She just wants to jump, bounce all the time. She wants to move her legs. She wants to move her arms. She's just always active. She wears herself out. Lately, that's I mean, she's super active during the day and she will not nap. But she's been going to bed at least. She's been sleeping through the night at least last month. So that's good. I don't even know what I'm talking about anymore. I'm just rambling.
Well,
So
what do you want
my
from me? Is there
anxiety.
a topic you want to talk
No,
about?
I'm anxious. I figured like, and like when I saw you were on, I was like, oh, cool. Maybe I'll go talk to Jeff. Maybe that'll help me. I just got through cooking and I was putting away the food, and then I was like, because I remember you saying something about you might stream tonight, and I realized I hadn't checked it, and I didn't see I didn't get a notification on my phone, so I looked on YouTube and saw you're on. So, yep.
Yeah, I decided to do a little bit
Yeah,
of it. I'm trying to stream every day, so
it's
I don't want to
a
skip
good
a day.
goal. It's a good goal. You do you think any more about Barbie? Have any more thoughts about it?
No, not really. I was gone all day. I was at a training, and so I haven't thought about anything.
Oh, you had to go out into the real world and do something.
Kind of the real world. It was at this church. It was it was my men's group, so it was just us. There was no we weren't in the real world. Real world. It was a contained environment. But yes, I did leave my house
Yeah.
to go and do it.
That's what I meant. I just meant like you actually had to leave your house and instead of like
Yeah, it
just
was real people.
I know you said your goal was to never have to do that again. At least for
Well, I
work,
mean,
you said for work.
I
For
don't.
work, I mean.
Yeah, for work for sure. But I can leave my house if there's a reason, like there's something to do.
Oh sure. I mean, I same thing. I'm not really huge on leaving the house either, especially in the heat we've got here right now. And like, I mean, I thought it was over. I thought the heat was over, but like today it was like 110 again. So it's like we just went up to because I got $10 just to put gas in the car as I put some gas in the van and just came home. But man, it was sweltering outside. But yeah,
Dang.
it's
We're
the
almost in
heat here is.
October.
I know. I mean, hopefully it'll be over soon. That they said 2 weeks ago on the weather. They said like, oh, this will be the last week of 100+ degree weather, but it was not. So
Uh,
I don't know. It's been a harsh summer here, but hopefully that's gonna come to an end soon because I'm sick of the heat. That's for sure. Can't do anything about heat. I can always bundle up with cold. It didn't even bother me even when we had the blizzard a few years back and like it knocked out all the power and everything, and it was cold, but like I had blankets, so it was all right. It wasn't that bad. It wasn't nearly as bad as heat. It was like so. It's humid here too.
Ooh.
It's not just hot. It's humid. It's wet. Like everything just feels like it's sticky and everything. It wasn't that bad the last couple of years, but this year was pretty harsh. Sure, it's because of climate change. They'd say, even though it's been like that my whole life, but I'm sure they say it's hot because of climate change, but the way it was when I was a kid too. So.
Yeah, I mean, who knows? I don't.
I think climate change is a thing. I'm not, and I even think that man-made climate change is a thing. I just don't think it's just.
But it's just how much do you catastrophize over it? That's what's hard to determine.
That's my point. Because I could have swore I could swear that I remember like hearing back in 2000 hearing about climate change or like the so-called global warming. That's like around the 2001 around like 9/11 shit happening. I remember hearing about how like the oceans were gonna swallow California by the year 2030 or something like that. It's just not happening. It's just like it's. I mean, like they every year they push the window back a little bit further and a little bit further and a little bit further. And I mean, I'm not saying there's no danger in it, and I think we don't totally should do whatever things we can to mitigate it, beyond like the stupid like freaking policy things they do that just like try to decimate economies and stuff like that, because that's not helping anything. It's just not, because like just like what there's one of those I think it's a Constant Kitson. He made like a speech in Britain about this, and he's talking about like the fact that it doesn't matter how much we cut our carbon emissions here, because Thailand, India, China, they're not going to ramp down their emissions. They're only ramping them up. They're putting out more emissions than we can. Like no matter what we do to try to lower ours, they're going. So we have to find other solutions to combat it. That he says it's real and everything, but like the solution is not to try to like do all these like crazy green initiatives and everything, because they don't actually help. They're not actually going to slow down anything. We need to put our effort and our focus into finding putting it into science and funding research and everything that actually will help to change climate change. And I agree with that. I think that's the way to go.
What do we do? Or we don't know yet. We're still in the research phase.
Yeah. I mean, I certainly don't understand any of it. I'm not a climate scientist, and I would never claim to be, but. Like there's a really good video about climate change on this channel. I think it's called Astrum. It's not a video, a channel I'm really that familiar with. Really, they talk about space stuff mostly, just like stuff generally about like stuff that the James Webb Space Telescope does. I watch stuff like that sometimes. I think it's interesting. I don't understand all of it, but I still try to inform myself on certain things. And but they did a video where he talked about climate change and really broke down like the reasons why man-made climate change is an issue, and like he's like it was really non-alarmist, and it was a really balanced. Actually, it was like one of the only videos I've ever seen on the subject like climate change, where this guy wasn't like he wasn't just biovulating about how we're all going to die, or he wasn't saying that's all bullshit. It's not a real thing. He was like it was actually a really balanced, like centrist perspective on climate change that I thought was really interesting. I just had to find that, and if it's something you're interested in, and I actually thought it was really interesting. Like he actually broke down the data of like the temperatures and stuff like that, and like temperature fluctuations over like the past the past 200 years and what's recorded and everything like that, and actually showed the reasons why it is a concern and why it's also the reason why it's not a concern. Like in what ways it's not a concern, and like I thought it was really interesting.
Rowan did one too that I found very helpful.
I've only seen like one of Rowan's videos.
Didn't really change my mind on it, but you've seen what?
I've only seen like one of Rowan's videos. I haven't watched many of them. I like Rowan on one hand, but he also annoys me on another hand. So
let's talk about it. This is apparently the gossip channel too. So.
Oh no, I'm not. I mean, I told it to him to his face. I've said it to him.
What annoys you about him, Rowan? If you're listening.
If you're listening, I just think. I mean, like I told him this. And whenever he did that, there was a debate he did with John or something like that. Did you see that?
Yeah, they did.
Yeah,
they were doing an IFSO map, and then it turned into just the general trans debate. Oh yeah, we were there.
Yeah.
And
I was Yeah, I was telling him, I was like, dude, it just sounds like you're trying to win this debate, and John's not trying to argue with you. And I mean, I've told him that kind of stuff before because he gets all he'll start like John was like being really reasonable and like and just like just like trying to have a conversation, and Rowan kept trying to come up with these things like kind of these big like technical. He's trying to talk these big technical terms and everything that were kind of like out of like the just like they're not typical terms like talking real like kind of I don't know just using like a bunch of sciencey kind of jargony language that just didn't necessarily even make sense and like it just sounded like he was trying to he sounded like he was doing a Vosh. He was trying to sound really like it sounded like Vosh. That's what he sounded like, and I tried to communicate that to him, and then I remember he changed the whole tenor of the thing after I said that to him. He actually did react to it, but he talked. I think he talked more at that point about the fact that he wasn't trying to sound like he was trying to win the debate. He said that many times after that, and I was just like, dude, like okay, so I mean, I just it was one point, I wasn't trying to like derail your whole thing, but like
or did I freeze?
I don't know. I can still hear you. Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Oh yeah, I think it froze or something. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you fine. It didn't freeze for me at all. So
it must be on my end because the whole video stopped and reset.
Huh?
Yeah, we were supposed to debate on queer theory, but it never happened. I sent him all the stuff to read. Maybe he decided there was nothing to debate after that.
Maybe so. I mean, I get the impression with Rowan that first impression he's just young. I don't think a lot of his.
Yeah, but then John's
bravado.
young too, and Paul's young too.
John's. I don't know. I'm not trying to be mean.
So it's not just age.
It's not. I mean, I can't blame it on age entirely, but he comes across like it's like young leftist syndrome. I don't know what to call it. I mean, it's just it's just
young. Yes, I think leftist syndrome. Maybe not even age so much.
I think
syndrome.
I think older leftists or at least more mature leftists tend to be a little bit less Vosh.
Not the ones I know.
Oh, really? Okay.
People in my generation and older have gone completely over the woke cliff.
Oh, well.
They're worse than Rowan. Rowan's one of the few leftists I can have a rational debate with. And like,
I mean, yeah, I mean, it's fairly he seems like he only gets like that when he's on camera too. Like when we're talking in just like in the Discord chat, I don't get that. He's a lot more down to earth and a lot like every time he gets like on like if they're streaming though, if it's a streaming thing, I feel like he gets his bravado and he gets very like performative, and I think that just kind of like I just find it a little bit irritating. But I don't think he's a bad person. I mean, heck, he's local.
Like, don't some people do that when they're on camera?
They do, I guess.
There's an audience.
I try not to let that happen to myself. I'm sure I'd probably do it too. I don't know.
I never have to worry about an audience, so I don't have that problem.
Yeah, I mean, I've never had one either. And you've had a bit of an audience when you've been on with Paul and stuff like that. Gender Flux, whatever. Yeah, Gender Flux, whatever. I mean, it's not like no one's. I think quite a few people saw your debate with Andrew. So.
But I get so involved in what's in front of me. I don't really worry about.
What's that sound? Did you hear that sound? What was that?
That was me.
Okay. Okay. I just sound like a gong went off. I was like,
oh, good. Now I have another tool.
Yeah. It sounded like dong. It was like it's like an alert to like let us know that like the time was almost up or something.
Yeah, when I get tired of somebody.
Going on. It's like the spring on your. Is it the spring on your arm?
On the yeah.
Yeah, I have a couple of those things too. They do make that sound. That makes a lot of sense. It reminds me of those the sound that those door stoppers make. I remember when I was a kid, I used to play those things.
I remember.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Yeah. But yeah. No, I mean, I don't think Rowan's a bad person. I don't think he's. I mean, I even said like, I mean, if he wanted to, I'd hang out with him in real life because like he's like right here local.
Y'all are in the same city.
Yeah, we are.
You go have a beer or something, or whatever.
Yeah, I mentioned it, but like he was like, oh, I don't know, just same as Paul. Paul. I don't know what it is about the couple of people like they're just like all skittish about like meeting up with people. I mean, I was just like
you think that's a generational thing?
I don't know. Like to me, like whenever I said like when I first mentioned that to Paul, I was like, dude, we're in the same city. Like, well, let me buy you a drink sometime. I'll just buy you a drink. I mean, I don't really have any money either, but I was still like, I want just to like buy him a drink, just like see what see, just like I just thought, we since we both have similar type like viewpoints and stuff, that may be interesting to like sit down, just have a talk. He doesn't want to. I mean, that's okay. I mean, I'm not offended by it. It just I don't know. I think it's a little
He
weird.
flat out said no. Like, no,
Yeah,
thank
no,
you.
he flat out said,
Oh.
yeah, I'm not interested.
Okay. Well, there's
Yeah,
the
yeah.
answer.
Yeah, he doesn't want to meet anybody in real life. I get the impression. I mean, I kind of feel like he probably would be even like. I feel like he would be like probably like a little skeptical about even meeting John or Anton if they were local, even
You
though
think
like he
so?
does that. I feel
I
like he
bet he would
would.
meet
I mean,
them.
I mean, I would hope so, but at the same time, like I don't know, like as skeptical
They could
as
do a live Interfox.
well, that's what I mean. That's one thing I was like, hey, you want to do like because I at one point I had some idea of something like I actually thought would be interesting to debate with him about, like something that ended up he not being interested in debating or something. I can't remember what it was now. It was a long time ago, but not that long ago. It was like a few months back or whatever. But it's something I mentioned to him, and I was like, hey, we could even do it in person. We could just like if you want to meet somewhere, we could we could stream it from wherever. Like we could do something like live in Dallas, something like that. And yeah, he had no interest at all. So I mean, he may just think I'm a weirdo. I don't know.
He did mention that he was, because somebody posted a in-person video like of this streamer going out in the public and talking, and he did make a comment that he's looking at more in-person, like real life content.
Yeah, I know. I saw that comment too, but I mean, that could mean a lot of things, though. So I mean, I'm not gonna push him on it. I mean, it's not that big of a deal to me. So
I'm supposed to be his VP of community enablement, and I've been trying to get people to form local PFU chapters, and Dallas is the best. Like, I think there's more of you there than any other location.
yeah, that's what I mentioned the same thing to him at one point too.
If he's not gonna be a part of that, then
He might do
I
it. He might do it if it was. He might do it if there was a group. He might do it if there's a group. I think I don't know. I think he's worried that I'm gonna turn into a serial killer or something. I don't know. He thinks I'm gonna I'm gonna kidnap him or something. I don't know. I don't know why, but I get the feeling he just thinks I'm a weirdo. But I mean, it's all right. I mean, I don't know. I am a weirdo. I'm a weird person.
But
I mean,
you are like that.
Typical.
His community, though. Weirdos are his community. What is he expecting?
Yeah. That's. I mean, I would think the same thing. But I'm not. I don't think I'm really quite as weird as maybe some of the people that are in the community even. But I think that I'm just weird enough just to be. But probably just because I'm really blunt with people. We're pretty blunt and pretty straightforward people about things. So like I was just like, yeah, let's just have. I didn't like wait till I was an integrated part of the community before I mentioned that. And I mean that was just too move too fast. He's like thought maybe he thought I was hitting on him. I don't know. It doesn't matter. I'm not gonna I don't take it personally. Like I said, I don't get offended, but I kind of think it's silly on his part.
Well, I don't know. I don't know what.
Yeah, I mean everybody's got their reasons.
If you're ever in Washington State, I would definitely. I wouldn't have beer because I don't drink, but I would definitely go do something with you.
Yeah, I don't drink beer anymore either. If I have a drink, it would be. I'd have a drink, but if I don't drink very much, very often, I occasionally do drinks. I don't. I've like because I have the stomach surgery. I have the stomach sleeve thing, which means like like basically. Gastric sleeve is like where your stomach is shaped like it's like a tube that goes like this, and it's got this big pouch like this, and then the tube that comes out, and like the tube basically it's like one tube. They cut out everything besides like the big tube, so you just have like a pouch that's like this.
So you don't have
this long.
They cut your pouch part out.
Yeah, cuts the pouch part out.
I thought that's where all the food goes.
Yeah, you can still the tube part still holds food there. Isn't
that where the juices are, like the digest?
They still go there. Like your stomach just resets. It's really crazy when you get the surgery done. Because I had it was like my doctor wanted me to do it at the time. Because like I was doing all their diet things and everything, and like nothing was helping. My weight I kept gaining weight, and I don't know why. That was seriously. I wasn't eating barely anything. I was like basically starving myself, and I was still gaining weight. I had some sort of glandular like hormonal issue or something like that. And he said like that the reason he wanted me this gastric sleeve thing wasn't really so much for the weight loss thing, was much the fact that like whenever you do it, it like resets your whole like he thought I had some problem with my gut biome, with my the with the flora or whatever in your gut, like
And he just
the
give you
bacteria.
yogurt.
What? Yeah, it didn't work. I tried all that kind of thing.
Oh,
And yeah, they gave me injections too, and they didn't work. But anyway, so they did this, and it's a little you have to like start eating yogurt and applesauce pretty much exclusively for like about a month, and then you eventually you can eat. I can eat whatever now, but because of that, because like it doesn't have like that big like place that holds all this food. Not only do you not you don't eat as much, but when you do eat it, you digest it very quickly, and it processes through your bloodstream very fast. So alcohol, like if I drink alcohol, it hits me very quickly, and it leaves my system very quickly. So like it processes through my like so a lot of times if you have like a drink that has alcohol in it, a lot of it's going to go in like that pouch part and sit there, and it's going to slowly kind of seep into your bloodstream. Well, that doesn't happen with me. Like if I drink alcohol, it goes straight to my bloodstream, and then it only lasts for like 10-20 minutes. So
do
it's
you
kind of
black
cool in a
out
way that,
easily?
oh no, I've never really blacked out from alcohol. I blacked out from vertigo. I blacked out from other things. So I've never blacked out from alcohol before.
Hmm.
I've kind of just had blackout moments just because I can't remember things, but like not like I literally blacked out, like I or did anything crazy. I've never done that before. I've never done that my whole life though. I didn't. I've never blacked out on anything though. Like even like never blacked out from pills or alcohol or anything like that. The only things that really gave me like close to anything blackouts have been depression, depression, and just like I blacked out crying before. you know,
Oh,
I have like the least cool blackouts you could have, right? But yeah, I don't. I don't. I've never really drank much anyway. I've never really been into. And I this fucked up thing. I tried to get into drinking. Okay, I tried like especially whenever everything was really bad with when Lindsay was in psychosis and we didn't even know I didn't know what was wrong with her yet, and like everything in my life had just fallen apart. And I was like, well, everybody else like uses alcohol, so I'll try it. So I tried to get into whiskey. I really tried. I like bought a few different kinds of whiskey and scotch and stuff like that, and kind of I taught myself to appreciate the whiskey and scotch because I'd never liked it before. But I was like, I'm a writer. I'm gonna drink whiskey like Hemingway or something like that. It's being dumb. I was just it was a desperate depression thing you do. And I tried my best, but I never could get into it. I mean, like it's like I could drink it and it'll get me a little drunk for a little while, and then like it leaves my bloodstream quickly. But I don't really enjoy being drunk. I never really enjoyed the taste of it. I learned to
yeah.
appreciate it.
Same
I
here.
just don't like it. I don't enjoy it. There's ways you can make. I mean, there's like whiskey sours are good. I like those all right, but it's still not something I want to drink very often or very much. It just doesn't really. If I'm trying to like, it is. I mean, sadly, it is like I do occasionally use I have like a bottle of gin or a bottle of whiskey like, around the house at all times, just in case like I get really bad pain in my back. I can take shot and a half of one of those of gin or whiskey, and it'll usually like kill my back pain before I can sleep. But it's strictly as a painkiller. It doesn't. I don't really. I drink it. I take it and I go to sleep. It's just not. I don't do it for kicks. I don't do it for fun. It's just it's like the only thing. It's like the only thing I can really get my hands on that without trying to like go find back alley drug markets or something like that to find painkillers. I've never done that, and I never will. So I mean, alcohol is just like the best option. Whenever like it gets really bad, I just
Yeah,
take a
that
shot.
when
I
I had my
just
nose
take a
broken, I had
yeah.
to. I used whiskey because the painkillers weren't doing anything.
Yep. And I mean, and it works. It doesn't. It's not.
Yeah, it did the job, but I had to stay
Mhm.
drunk all the time.
Yeah, well, I mean, like it'll like the pain killing part of it will last longer than like the drunkenness will. So like, I mean, if it's really hurting me, it usually like says, let me get to sleep, and then I can sleep. And then if it in the morning, if it's hurting me in the morning, I've been tempted before, but I've refused to let myself be the kind of person that takes a shot first thing in the morning. I just feel like it's a bad habit. There's a history of alcoholism in my family, though. I mean, I think that has a lot to do with my I have like a mental block against it. I can't let myself even like get into it really because like it's just like my dad's dad, my grandfather that I never met, he died when my dad was 8 because he drank himself to death. And so my
Mm.
dad's had a real bad, he's never drank his whole life because of that. And then my uncle on my mom's side, he was like a drunk the whole time. Like I knew him some when I was a kid, but it's like my great grandfather. Yeah, but but he was like I remember growing up. That's why I just remember like him smelling the alcohol on him. It was like the weird, uncomfortable like grandfather kind of thing. It's like I didn't know. I didn't understand what it was when I was a kid, but then, he died of alcoholism too. So like, there's been 2 people in my family that died of drinking. So like, I guess that kind of keeps me from ever getting to. I think like that being like learning that early on in my life. I think it kind of kept me from getting an addictive personality, to be honest, because I've never got addicted to anything. Even cigarettes. Like, I mean, I quit smoking last week. I was like, I don't want to smoke anymore. I just quit. And like, I
Is
did.
that
I
part
only
of
been
anxiety? Are you having like cigarette withdrawals?
maybe a little bit, but I don't really. It doesn't really feel any worse. I mean, it doesn't really feel much different. I mean, I haven't really craved them at all. I mean, I've done that. I've quit and started smoking like 20 times in my lifetime.
How long had you been smoking?
At that point, probably like about a year.
Oh,
I've been back smoking for about a year. I had quit.
uh-oh.
There is it. Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Hello?
Yeah.
Okay.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I bumped the mute button. That's all.
Oh.
Yeah, I just bumped the mute button. But yeah, I started smoking again about a year before that. Like, right, I just like, and like, I had only been quit. I only quit at that point for about a year before that too. I'd smoked for about a year or 2 before that. I just like, I've gone on and off cigarettes for a long time just because like basically just from anxiety, and like it'd get bad enough where I would just like try like, well, maybe I'll smoke again, and it might get help for a little while, and then it stops helping, so I stop. I don't know. It doesn't like it. I've never smoked because I was addicted to smoking. I've only smoked because I wanted to, and whenever I didn't want to anymore, I stopped. So I am lucky like that because I just don't have a problem not doing things. It's like it's easy. I've never really understood that. Like, I mean, I do know that people have addiction. I understand that, and I don't, but I don't fully relate to it because I don't know what it's like. Like to have like that really deep. Yeah, it's just like, to me, it's just easy to not do something. Like, if I don't go buy cigarettes, I don't smoke them.
Internet. I had that AOL addiction. I could not stay off of it. That's the closest thing to addiction that I've had is chat rooms.
The closest thing I've had,
streaming.
like back whenever I was like 20 years ago, whenever I went through my drug phase and like did an experiment with drugs. I mean, I never really did anything all that much, but I never did much on my own either. It was usually like in social settings. It's like most of the time, most of the drugs I did was usually around people. I didn't do it by myself. So I think it probably has a lot to do with it too, because I associate with certain groups of people and stuff like that. Like, I would do it when I was around them, but I didn't really do it otherwise. But I do say like whenever I did like speed, speed did make me feel like I was addicted to certain things. Like, I would start doing something like, I don't know, like playing a video game, and it was like I couldn't stop playing it, and but if I stopped doing, but if I didn't this, but I never really got hooked on this. I never like got hooked on the speed. I never really wanted it any other time. I just did it when I was with people because they were offering it to me, and then when I wasn't around them, I didn't do it, and like it just didn't bother me. And I don't know. I mean, it's kind of I remember that was like the only thing I think I actually liked about it. To be honest, wasn't really so much. It didn't really make me feel that great, but it was kind of cool to be really that into something, like even like a video game or something like that. It was like the most into a video game I've ever been, or the most into music I've ever been. Was like,
that's what LSD and psychedelics would do for me.
Yeah, I know. Acid definitely has that effect. I actually do like acid. I'm glad there's not good acid around, because like that's one I'd be tempted to do. I'd be tempted to do acid. Not around here. Not
what
that
happened
I know
to the acid? Oh,
I don't know. I've never found it around here. The only time we ever got it, I ever did it with me and Lindsay did it whenever she would get it from somebody in Colorado that she knows, like from the hippies in Colorado. She knows a bunch of hippies in Colorado, and she had a couple of hippies that gave her some, like, and she brought it back, and we did it together. That's the only time I ever got it. I mean, like back in Vegas, I did shrooms a few times several times actually, from this hippie chick that got a bunch of hydroponically grown ones, and she would bring them over, and I bought some from her a couple of times, but and then she got hooked on heroin and disappeared, died, I think. But yeah, she was a crazy chick. But yeah, I mean, she had really good shrooms as far as I mean, I've never had bad shrooms, but the ones I had were really good. But they certainly gave you really cool time dilation effects and made things really interesting that normally wouldn't be interesting.
It was the freeze dried ones, or the
they were free. Yeah, she didn't grow them, but she got them from somebody. She'd get these back. She'd bring over these massive Ziplocs that were like this big, just like a full on Ziploc that would just be full of those things. They had like these big blue veins in them, and yeah, they were just like, they were brown with these big blue veins in them, and like we'd make tea out of them or just eat them and just whatever, they were good. But
I remember
I
that
haven't
too.
I haven't I haven't had them since then, since Vegas. But I had the acid a couple of times when we lived in Texarkana. But that's kind of the end of my drug life, though. I don't like weed. Never have. I never liked. For a little while, I tried the whenever they made that legal weed that they have here in Texas now. I don't know
Oh,
what
the
it's called.
spice,
Yeah,
the
it's not.
fake weed, the synthetic weed.
It's like it's like X7 or something, whatever they call it, whatever they call the stuff.
Yeah,
Like I tried some of that stuff because somebody suggested that I try it for
it was
anxiety.
really called spice.
Hmm?
I couldn't tell. I was working in the psych ward, and the kids were talking. It had just come out, and the kids were talking about it. And my boss came up to me one day, and he's like, "Do you know about this new thing called spice that the kids are talking about? It's supposed to be legal weed." And I said, "No, but where can you get it? If I'll try." He's like, "Well, you can go to it was the it was the underground record store, and they sold little packets of it." And he told me
Yeah.
where you could get it. And I said, "Okay, after work, I'm gonna go and get some and try it, and I'll come back tomorrow and tell you how it goes." He goes, "Okay, do that. That's your mission. Go try this weed, this fake weed all the kids are talking about." And I came back the next day. It was weed. Like, how is that stuff not weed? It was identical to weed. I could not tell that I was not on weed.
The stuff they have now, the stuff that they're doing
And it
right
was called
now,
spice.
yeah. I mean,
It
this
was
isn't
like
the spice stuff.
synthetic
This,
weed that they grew. The chemical compound that they
yeah,
synthesized in a laboratory, and then they sprayed it on these herbs,
yep,
and you'd smoke the herbs,
yeah.
and it had
It's
that
they have
chemical on it.
the stuff they have now.
And
It's
I could
THC.
not tell that I was not on weed. It was that good.
Yeah, now the stuff they have now is THC, and it's like the legal. It's very much like the legal weed they have in like California. I mean, Colorado and California and stuff like that. Like the stuff you can get at the head shops there. Because like I tried some with that girl that fucked everything up here. Because she got some whenever she got out of jail in Vegas, and like and the stuff. I mean, it was. I mean, for weed, it was good. You know, I mean, it's doesn't. It's just not my thing. I don't like it. It makes me kind of dizzy and tired, and I just don't enjoy it. But this is before I had the vertigo. But the stuff that like that I tried from here, because I was like, because like somebody was like, well, no, this stuff is like a lot more mellow than the other stuff, and I don't know what the hell they're talking about, because the stuff that they gave me, I took like 2 puffs off of it, and it obliterated my fucking mind. Like I couldn't remember my own name. I didn't know what. I mean, I didn't enjoy it all. It made me more anxious. It did not make me relax. I was way
You talking
more
about the
anxious.
synthetic stuff?
Yeah, the synthetic stuff. I couldn't.
Oh,
I couldn't get a thought straight. I couldn't get a thought straight in my head. I have that trouble anyway lately, since with the vertigo. But like it made me like I would be trying to say something to Lindsay, and I couldn't. I'd be like, I couldn't formulate a thought. I would every time I'd start thinking of something, I'd forget what I was thinking, and I would have to go back to the beginning again.
oh, weird.
And yeah, it was not fun. I did not like it at all. Because Lindsay, whenever she was still dealing with psychosis, got her help. She got really into whenever she was in that state. She really liked vaping for some reason. She was vaping because I used to vape a lot. I used to have like all the little
Nicotine
vape toys.
or weed?
Yeah, the nicotine stuff. I used to have all the nicotine vape stuff, and I worked for a nicotine vaping company like back before it got really popular, before it was like a really mainstream thing. It was like really new, and like no, all the stuff just came in from China. And yeah, I worked for this company named LeSig for about 3 years, and so I really knew the vape industry really well for a while. So I had the stuff forever, and I would just kind of like I always vaped for a long time. I just got tired of it and stopped. But then for some reason she picked it up. She picked up my old vape stuff that I had, and she got into it. So I was taking her up to this little like vape shop, head shop thing that's over up the road. And while I was in there, since I was having these bad panic attacks and everything all the time, and the vertigo, and I was like, you know, it couldn't hurt. So I bought one of these little like pens they had. They had like these little vape pens that have like the THC7 or something like they call it. It's THC, but it's just a different chemical. It's technically a different chemical composition, so it's legal somehow. I don't understand like how that's considered legal, but I vaped that stuff, and like I said, like it was way stronger than any weed I'd ever had growing up. I'd never had any weed. The only time I'd ever had anything that was this strong was once somebody gave me a Rice Krispie treat, and I didn't know that it had THC in it until after I started eating it. They're like, "Hey, you want a Rice Krispie treat?" And I was like, "Oh, sure." And he was like, "Oh, you might want to go easy on that. That's a weed treat there." And I was like, "What the fuck? didn't know that this. I didn't know which I wouldn't have eaten this thing.
That's
Oh, I was so mad at him. I was so mad at the dude. It was one of the rappers I knew and that I worked with and stuff like that. And like I was so pissed at him. I was like, "Holy, why the fuck would you? You know, I don't even do weed. I have no tolerance to this at all. Like, why would you? Yeah." And it was like really, really like this. This was actually done with actual cannabis though. This was actual real THC stuff, and it was like they put the THC in the butter or whatever and make the Rice Krispie treats. It tasted good. It tasted like a Rice Krispie treat to me. I mean, I didn't even know it wasn't like a really big one or anything. But he said like yeah, you ate a lot, and I went home that night and had the same thing where I couldn't speak. Like it was funny at first, but then after a while, I was just like, it just made me mad. I couldn't even sleep. I couldn't like because my brain just kept like going, but it kept like in a circle. It was like in a cycle that wouldn't stop. And yeah, I didn't enjoy it. I don't enjoy weed. I don't understand how people like. I mean, I guess like if the way that they describe it in movies and they show people having getting stoned in movies stuff like that, it does look like it's fun. It doesn't feel like that for me. So I just don't. If I ever had any chance of getting hooked on anything, I probably wouldn't speed or something, one of those that like Coke or speed or something from back then. But I never, like I said, I was always real careful. I never did it when I was around people, and so I always stayed away from it. It's not worth it. Drugs are bad. Okay, Did you ever experiment with drugs at all?
Me?
Yeah.
I've told my drug stories on here.
I know you talked
nothing
about
hard.
Nothing hard though. I've done all the hard. I've done all the drugs.
I mean, we lived in Louisiana. We had cow fields all over the place. We'd go pick mushrooms all the time.
Shrooms, yeah.
I make giant pot, like gumbo pots, the big gallon, like 2-3 gallon pot full of tea.
Sounds fun.
It was this thick, like almost black syrupy tea. It was so saturated with psilocybin. We'd put in big Kool-Aid, like the big 2-gallon Kool-Aid pitchers. And we drink like a sip of it, and we were bombed out of our head. We had the whole gallon left over the next day.
I bet, man. I mean, that sounds like I used to love the tea, especially. Tea would give you this great euphoria sensation, and it wouldn't obliterate you too much. I never got sick on the tea. Like if
they obliterated me. My strongest trips have been on mushrooms.
No, I'm saying I'm saying like it was like I definitely was a strong trip, but I didn't really trip. Like I never hallucinated or anything, but like I just enjoyed the high off the mushrooms better than anything else I think I ever did. Except like once I ate too many and I got really sick and threw up for like an entire night. But I overdid it once. But and acid was fun too. I liked acid. I just not something I can.
Yeah, acid was my recreational drug. Like I could go out in public and hang out with friends. Like mushrooms it was like really shamanic. I had to sit in a dark room. I couldn't be around people. I couldn't be out in public. I had to have a very gentle environment.
No, I liked shrooms around people. I liked them by myself. I did them both ways. I don't know. I enjoyed them both ways. But acid I only ever did with Lindsay, so I've never done them outside of a social-ish kind of setting. I don't know if it was social since we're married, but yeah, but still, yeah, that's the only time I've ever done that. But I mean, it was really enjoyable though. I enjoyed it. The body high was really good, and I felt like it was just mostly we just laughed about stuff. Just like had like I felt like it let me free associate thoughts really in really funny ways. So it's not funny when you're not high, but at the time it's the most hilarious stuff, just stuff that
there are like, people. There's an entire group, like there's an autistic group out there that does experience psychedelic. There's a lot of autistic people that do it. They microdose because it balances out their brain chemistry, whatever, and it helps with their autism and ADHD. And when I was on LSD, it felt like all of my chemicals were perfectly balanced. I could think the most clearly. I could express myself. There weren't all these weird disjunctions that I have with my normal brain. It was like everything was in balance, and I could finally function. It's like finally had a functional brain.
If I had access to it, I would totally try that. I would try it.
I would consider microdosing for that reason.
Yeah, no, I mean, I totally would. But I have no idea where I would find it to do that. But like I'm saying, if I knew somebody had it and like I could do it, I would do it in a heartbeat.
They do psychedelic therapy up here. It's really expensive, and they don't provide the stuff. You still have to find your own stuff, but they have certified professionals that you can trip with for a fee, and then it's considered therapy.
I don't know about in Texas. I don't know if that's even possible here.
Probably
But
not.
yeah, probably not. I know I've heard them do the
But
same
y'all
thing
have
with
mushrooms down there too, huh? Y'all have cows.
cows, but I mean, I don't know. But I mean, they don't. You don't find them on every single cow patty, and like they don't necessarily.
Yeah, you have to know
Me,
which field to go to
yeah,
after it rains.
me and a friend of mine, we tried to find some in cow fields, or whatever, never could. We would go early in the morning and like look for them and stuff like that, and never found it once. But you know, it was worth a shot, I guess. You know, we did it like 3 or 4 times. We went out like right at like because we have really dewy mornings a lot of times in certain times of year, and we thought like, oh, we'll definitely see some shrooms out there. And never did though. I'm not saying
We
we
had a
just
whole
made
little
it.
network of druggies, like all the little high school druggie kids, and they would let everybody know which fields had the stuff in them, and so we always knew which fields to go to.
Well, see, I figure like and I think about it, like I don't really, don't think, but I mean, basically Adderall is basically speed, and that's probably the reason, it does, and it helps me concentrate and things. It's basically what the speed did back then too. So it makes sense that like that stuff resonated with me a little bit. I'm glad I never got hooked on it or anything, but it makes sense that stuff resonated with me because But I kind of feel like acid did the same thing. I would love to try microdosing on it because with the math type speed stuff, it seems like it was way too, I don't know, was way too you had to do way too much of it to do, it seems like you definitely get hooked on it like that. But there's people were just like really way too into it to me. Like it was crazy. We had like that, so we had that Breaking Bad shit back then. Like it was like that blue stuff. It wasn't. I don't know. I've seen people doing it around here since then, here in Dallas. Like that chick that moved down here. She started getting that stuff again, and like the stuff that she was smoking. I don't know what she was. It smelled like cat piss. It was awful. I don't know. It's not the same stuff that they used to have whenever I was doing it. So yeah, I don't know. And that stuff has all gotten bad. But the only other thing I've ever tried that was ecstasy, and ecstasy was all right. It was okay.
Oh,
Yeah,
it never did anything to me. I've tried it 2 or 3 times.
I had it once, and it was really good. It was really nice. It felt really good. It just, I did that. It just felt good. I wasn't. The people I was with kind of ditched me, but I just like I was kind of like alone in the living room, and I just kind of rolled like watching TV and stuff like that, and it was fine though. And a couple other times I tried some pills that just did nothing at all, had no effect. And then another time it was nice, and that's the 4 times I ever did it. So that was about it. Like the one time I did it with was actually with a group of people. We kind of went out somewhere and stuff like that. It was pretty all right. It's pretty fun. But yeah, the other 2 times I didn't really get anything out of it. But I've never done things like I don't even know what angel dust is. I've heard of that, but I don't know what that is. I've never done
That's
or PCP.
PCP.
Yeah, PCP, the same thing. Okay, never done that before, and that's probably. I mean, I never did heroin intentionally. I never injected anything, but I did
Yeah, me neither.
accidentally. I accidentally smoked heroin because somebody told me it was opium, but it was heroin, and I was really mad at that. That's the same chick that's always the shrooms, and I was very pissed about that. But it didn't do. I didn't enjoy it at all. I threw up and felt sick and went to bed. That's the only thing that happened with it. So I mean, I was like, this is what people are fucking hooked on. Coke I never really liked. It made me too jittery. Just made me jitter. I'm already jittery.
Yeah, I
So
hated coke too. It made me sick. I got like the flu symptoms.
yeah, I can see that.
It just felt like a bunch of really strong cups of coffee.
Yeah, exactly. It made me feel like I drink way too much coffee. Like it made me
hate
feel like you're having heart palpitations or some shit like that. Yeah, I
Yeah,
fucking
and
hate
I
that shit.
couldn't. It wouldn't stop. It went on and on. I hated it. And then the
But at the
next
same,
day, I had like flu symptoms from coming off of it.
was the Coke you had, was it like really soft and powdery, or is it like that kind of rocky looking
I don't
stuff?
know. It was at a club.
Yeah,
My
it's
friends
a
gave
club.
it to me. I don't even know Coke enough to know what texture.
I've had Coke a total of like, because it was always one of those things that people had. I've never bought Coke ever. I've never paid money for it. I've only ever had it with other people. It's like,
Yeah,
and
me
there was
neither. Would
it was
never
like a
like it.
social thing. It was like a social thing. I was like, oh sure, why not? I'll take, how bad could it be? And I always regretted it. It was like one of those things, like I was probably just drunk enough just for it to seem like it wouldn't be a bad idea, I was like 21, 22, I was too stupid, no better. But one of the times, somebody had it. Somebody had the stuff that was like they showed me like, no, like because this is one of the times I was like, no, I'm good. I've had my fill of that shit. And they're like, no, you gotta check this shit out. Like, and he's like, shows us, and literally the stuff that in the bag looked like it was powdered sugar. It didn't even look like any of the stuff I'd seen before. The stuff I'd seen was always like kind of rocky and kind of like almost. And I mean, like now I wonder if it was crack that they were like snorting. I don't even know. But like
This
this
was like
one,
baking soda or baking powder
yeah,
consistency.
exactly. That's what the stuff I normally had was this stuff. But this stuff this one guy had was super soft. It was like the consistency of powdered sugar, and he gave me 2 little bumps from this thing, and I felt great that whole night. I felt amazing. And I thought to myself that time, I was like, I'm really glad I don't really know who that guy was, and I'm glad because like, is if I had access to that all the time, I could get hooked on coke. And I it was like a friend of a friend kind of person that I didn't really know that well. I never really saw him again. So I think I saw him like 1 or 2 other times. So I never like never like asked about it because I didn't want to. But like yeah, but like if that was the kind of stuff that like that people were getting hooked on the 80s, I get it. If it was the other stuff, I don't know what the hell the 80s was about then because like, that shit is no good at all. Because man, like the stuff that people were talking like how everyone was on coke in the 80s, everyone's fucking like coke out of their heads and all this stuff. I'm like getting coke out of my head. I wouldn't get anything down there. Like talking about people like writing screenplays and making movies and TV shows on coke and all that stuff. I'm just
It
like,
made me want to paint. Like I had all these. I
really?
saw this art, and I don't paint. I don't know how to paint at all. But I saw all these artistic things in my mind, and I had this urge to like create art. And Coke's the only thing that has ever done that to me.
Speed does it. Speed has done that to me before, and so has that one time I did the good coke. The other times I did coke though, it didn't make me want to do anything creative. It made me want to rip my skin off. I hated it. So jittery. But yeah,
Yeah, I
but like I
hate it
said,
too.
I except for like I've been an opportunistic like drug experimenter in years since, but I haven't really done anything that much in the last like I'm 42 now. Last time I probably was probably 20 years ago. Literally, I was like when I was like 22, 23. Last time I really like had ever done much of anything. But then I mean in the years since like and the acid was like only like 10 years ago, and the yeah. The acid was like 10 years ago, and like and somebody brought that chick brought DMT once over to our
Oh,
house.
I've never tried that.
It was utterly nothing. I don't know. I think she maybe just got ripped off. I think maybe it just wasn't really DMT because she had to smoke out of this complicated bong thing that she had, and it tastes terrible. And you take like I took like one bong rip of it, and and then I saw, and then like the colors, I have like this, I had like a gaming computer, had like the RGB lights on and stuff, and the RGB lights were really pretty for like 10 minutes, and then it just faded out. That was it. That was the whole thing. People talk about like they see like they get visited by the DMT fairy and shit like that. I got nothing of that. I don't know. I didn't trip off salvia. I didn't trip off DMT. I didn't trip off of any of those like I even once accidentally drank like a whole bottle of Robitussin too fast because I was coughing and I kept drinking it and I realized I ended up like drinking a bottle of Robitussin like and I felt a little weird and it never made me trip either. But I never did it on purpose though. So maybe you've let to chug that stuff to make that do that. People always tell me how robo tripping was the most hardcore thing they'd ever done. I was like, I don't know. I don't know. I think some people just like have that ability to hallucinate, and some people don't.
Yeah, it could be your
I
brain.
don't.
Like you are neurodivergent, so there's no telling
Yeah,
how it would affect your brain.
everybody's different. I always wanted it. I always wanted to actually trip so badly though. I always really wanted to have like an actual trip, and it's never happened. But I'm over
Not
that
even
now.
on acid.
Like, I mean, acid was fun. I mean, it was. I guess it was a trip in like the sense it was fun. But no, I didn't see anything. We saw like
Oh,
there was a really the one night like we did it twice, 2 times. Um, I did try to do it once before that, but whatever they gave us was bunk stuff because it did nothing at all. Nobody got anything off of it. That was years back before. This stuff she brought from Colorado, we did it twice, and both times it was really fun, really great. One night after we did it, I did see a really bright blue light. That was probably hallucination. That's probably the closest thing I ever had to, but it wasn't. It was just like a bright blue light for a few minutes, and that was gone. So either that or we were visited by aliens. I guess it's a hallucination or aliens. So. But yeah, that's about it. Oh man, you look a little tired, man. You all right?
yeah, I'm okay. We can end it though. I don't think anyone else is showing up. Do you feel
Yeah,
more less anxious?
yeah. I always feel better after having a conversation. So it's always fun to talk, man. Yeah, I appreciate it. I really appreciate you listening. You're a good friend. You really
Yeah,
are.
no,
I really do consider you
problem.
a very good
I'll,
friend.
I'll probably stream. Well, let's see. Tomorrow's Big Brother again. I'm
Sure.
if I stream at all, it's going to be late at night, like 11 or even midnight your time, because I have
Sure.
a busy day tomorrow. Unless
All
I
right, man.
do it a few hours in the afternoon. But anyway, if you're subscribed, YouTube should let you know.
I mean, it didn't
But I'll
tonight,
try to
but
do it. I don't always stream on Sunday because Sunday's really my busiest day. But if I don't stream on Sunday, I'll definitely do it on Monday.
no problem, man. I mean, it's not a big deal either way. But I hope you have a really good day tomorrow. Have a good one.
You too. You too. Hope you feel somewhat
Yeah.
better.
I mean,
somehow.
I get by. It's just one thing. It's just just good. It's good to have someone to talk to. That really means a lot to me. It really does. You're a good friend.
Well,
Have a good night, man.
no problem. You too.
Bye.
Take care. Okay, I don't know if there's any reason to keep it going after that. What time is it? Almost 9. Yeah, I'll end it today. What else is going on YouTube? God, everybody's live streaming tonight. All right. I'll let me play you out, and I'll see you either tomorrow or Monday. All right, take care. Wait, let me turn my banner off.